Greene Street Joinery and the American Craftsman podcast are proud to partner with Montana Brand Tools. Montana Brand Tools are manufactured by Rocky Mountain Twist in Montana, USA. With numerous patents dating back to the invention of the hex shank system by our founders, we strive to produce accessories that add precision, flexibility, and efficiency to your toolkit. In addition to woodworking tools, we produce many high-quality cutting tools that are used by the aerospace, medical, automotive, and industrial markets. Our end product has a fit and finish that is beyond comparison. Montana Brand Tools are guaranteed for life to be free of defects in material and workmanship because we build these tools with pride and determination. For 10% off your order, visit montanabrandtools.com and use the coupon code American Craftsman. All right, after severe technical difficulties, we're live.
It's been a stretch of that, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. In life, in the podcast.
That's it.
Everything.
The podcast mirrors life.
Yeah. Or vice versa.
So here we are. We're in the second season. This is episode 9, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, it's actually episode 10, I think, right?
Let's see.
Because we had the interim.
Oh, that's right.
Last week was on the road part 2.
So I got a +1 on all my notes here. We're on episode 10 because we had the mobile.
Before we get into this episode, have a couple, what do they call that at the beginning of a meeting?
Disclaimer?
No.
Public service announcement?
A couple housekeeping, yeah. Secret Santa 2021. I know some of you participated last year, so we're doing it again this year. Sign-ups, I think I'm going to extend it a week, so it'll be, you have until basically the beginning of, not this coming week, but, well, it's going to be like the first week of December. Don't mind me. So it's a $50 minimum. You're welcome to spend more if you want, but you can sign up. We'll put a link in the description, and you'll get paired up with someone randomly, and you get them something for Secret Santa.
Yeah.
You can create a wish list, so you give people some ideas, but I don't know. I think it's more fun to kind of just get something that you like, that you think is unique and cool, and might help somebody else in the shop. Yeah.
I wonder if you can, like, drop ship stuff.
Oh, yeah, I think that's what most people did last year. That's what we did.
I was already looking, and unfortunately, a couple of things I found that I wanted to get are gone.
Was it Lee Valley?
What? No, it was from KC Tool.
Oh yeah.
But like those advent calendars with the tools and stuff like that.
Those have probably been sold out for a while.
They're gone, and you can't back order them or anything.
Well, it's too late for that anyway, because by the time they get it, the month's over.
Yeah. I know.
If they get it for Christmas, Advent, that's the end of Advent.
Yeah. But I've been wanting to get one of those, and I was just too slow.
Yeah, those are cool. Another thing, buddy Michael over at Calavera gave us a coupon code for all you guys. Greene Street 10, GREENESTREET 10. Save 10% at Calavera Tools. So get yourself an apron, a belt, a journal. I mean, I got all 3 of those. And a wallet.
Yeah. That could be pretty substantial savings, on a nice apron.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're talking about a $300-$400 apron. That's $30-$40. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So thank you, Michael, for that. You guys check him out. We'll plug Montana again. Got American Craftsman, save you 10% at Montana, and American Craftsman, 10% on vesting finishes at rpmcoatingsolutions.com.
Yeah, the vesting is... We really are converts now, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to be using it on my kitchen.
Cool.
Maybe even the trim.
There you go. I mean, why not?
I like it.
I mean, you got to put some kind of finish on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's durable, it's repairable, it has a beautiful feel, easy to put on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So,
now that we got all that out of the way, I think that was it. I had some notes here.
Let's check them.
That's it.
All right. Well, do you know what are these divisions of furniture called?
The 12 periods of American furniture.
That's the word I was looking for. Now that we're on to our third period, and a lot of the reference material I've been going through, they pretty much agree on all of these.
Yep.
And there's some overlap, and some people have gone into greater detail in one group and a little less than in others. And today we're on to the Pennsylvania Dutch.
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of surprised that these were considered, an important period in American furniture.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it. Definitely think of them as furniture makers, but not as really like influential furniture makers.
Yeah. It's an interesting group. So let's start. Well, it's the Pennsylvania Dutch, and we're talking about 1720 to 1830. So it's a pretty good time frame, 110 years.
Yeah, so overlapping with the colonial.
Yeah. And
I think some of the federal. Right?
Yeah, federal will be the next group. So we're going to start with who, what, where, and when. Mm-hmm. That's what we like to do, and we have like our little background history.
Right.
So, who are the Pennsylvania Dutch? What brought them to America? And since we talk about furniture, how did all that influence the furniture that they built?
Mm-hmm.
So, where do you think the Pennsylvania Dutch are from?
Well, I know the answer to this question, so I won't spoil it.
Fun fact number one, the Pennsylvania Dutch are not Dutch. So why are they called that? Well, Dutch is sort of, it doesn't mean the Netherlands. It's from the Deutsch.
Right.
German. And so the Pennsylvania Dutch are ancestrally German.
Yeah, that was like some person made that mistake and coined them the Pennsylvania Dutch.
And it's been going on for 300 years
and they
now.
Still call themselves the Pennsylvania Dutch.
That's right.
Or, well, I don't know if they call themselves the Pennsylvania Dutch, but people still refer to them as Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah. They also have Alsatian. I had to look that up. That's northern France.
Yeah, Alsace.
And Swiss. Basically, all these folks came from the Rhine River Valley.
Right.
And
get some nice Riesling wine.
Yeah. They came over with a lot of the same intentions that all of the early American settlers did. And I learned so much about the Amish and the Quakers, the Mennonites. Those are the three groups they're basically Protestants. They were pacifists, and they came together here in colonial Pennsylvania.
Yep.
And it's, we know it because we live just next door in New Jersey.
Yeah, a couple hours away.
And even in New York, it's a big tourist attraction in a sense. So they have had some cultural impact on the region. So the Quakers, the Mennonites, and the Amish, they all share a background, of religious persecution, and they wanted to sort of do their own thing, some within the confines of the Protestant religion, some a little bit outside. But they're
seeing some patterns forming here.
But the Quakers are distinct from the Mennonites and the Amish. The Quakers are English.
Okay.
So that was something I learned. We especially when we go to like Quakertown, Amish, Pennsylvania, we kind of tend to group them all together.
Yeah.
But the Quakers are English. So the Mennonites, their founder is Menno Simon.
Mennonite.
His first name was Menno. So hence the Mennonites.
Dynamite.
Yeah. And they evolved from the Anabaptist movement in Holland and Germany during the Reformation. as most of us know, the Reformation was, where Martin Luther nailed the 95 Theses to the door of, I guess it was a church. Basically, people in the Catholic religion protesting against all of the excesses and things like that. And, guess what the name of the founder of the Amish religion is?
Amish.
Close. His name was Joseph Amen.
They were very creative.
Yeah. So we got Menno Simon. He starts something.
The Mennonites.
Yeah. Then Joseph Amen comes along, and he splits off from the Mennonites. And his big thing was shunning. The Amish really
the shun.
They're about the shun. Yes, the excommunicating and blackballing, shunning, whatever you want to call it. So the Amish, the Mennonites, they're not Quakers, and they are similar. They have like a spiritual connection. The Amish arrive in America at the invitation of the Quakers.
Huh.
So the Quakers are here first. They form about 100 years before the Amish, and as a result of the English Civil War. And between 1681 and 1683, William Penn, who's a Quaker, he establishes Pennsylvania.
Well, this is a different timeline than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the Amish came first and then the Mennonites came around afterwards.
No. Like I said, it might be, I don't know, people can find history interesting. Coming from an ex-history teacher. It's like being a wood nerd, you know what I mean? We talk about, wow, check out the grain in that wood, and other people just sort of like, yeah, all right.
Some people find it angering, like that diatribe of a YouTube comment we got a couple weeks ago. My God, get a life.
Yes. We should have put one more public service announcement, though. So we try to inform and, in some extent, entertain, but we are by no means experts in all of these fields. Even as woodworkers, we are still students.
And we've never claimed that this is all gospel. That,
no.
Take this at one, this is all 100% fact. This is just the research that, mainly Rob has come across.
Yeah, I try to be thorough,
Right,
go with reputable sources. And,
again, it's not.
Make my presentations as thorough and as well as I can.
Yeah.
So take it for what it's worth. A couple of guys sitting in the basement.
Yeah, my God. Well, my research showed that actually. Okay.
Yes.
Where's your podcast?
There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always something to correct. That's for sure. So yeah, that's the thing. The Quakers came first, like 100 years before the Mennonites, and then the Amish. And this was pretty cool. I mean, I learned a little bit about William Penn and the Quaker ideals and what he called his holy experiment. He thought that all this stuff could be possible leaving Europe and coming to the New World, as it was called. And he, in 1681, before he went to what became America, he wrote to the settlers that were already there to say. And typically I try not to just read, but he's a very literate fella, and this was worth reading in his own words. For you are now fixed at the mercy of no governor that comes to make his fortune great. You shall be governed by laws of your own making and live a free, and if you will, a sober and industrious life. I shall not usurp the right of any. So you could see, I mean,
nicely said.
This is pre-America, and he's speaking in the language of, the
Declaration of Independence.
Exactly.
I watched National Treasure the other day. Good movie.
The other thing I thought was worth noting was all the stuff that William Penn set out as his ideals, his rule book, if you will. And I kind of made me think if we would have maybe embraced some of these ideas in a larger extent, how we might have made out. Number one was fair treatment for Native Americans. we know.
Chance. I don't know if that's happening yet.
Yeah.
Don't say anything, Canadians, because you guys are worse.
That's right.
Maybe at this point.
King Charles II had given Penn all of this land, which became Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
But Penn didn't even think it was the king's to give. He thought that the land belonged to the natives. I'm not sure how you say the Lenape Indians. Lenape Indians.
Come on, you live in New Jersey. You got to know that.
Yeah, no, I'm still not.
Got Lenape Woods. I think it's right on 36 up here.
I'm still kind of a New Yorker, I guess, in my mind, even though I've lived in New Jersey far longer than any other place in my life.
Yeah, the Lenape were one of the big Native American tribes in New Jersey.
So Penn, even though he was granted the land, he wanted to buy the land from the Lenape at what he called a fair price. And he signed a treaty with them in 1682. No military was his number two. These were all pacifists.
Yeah.
The Penn chose not to bring arms and soldiers with him when he went over to Pennsylvania. And this was directly in contrast to the other colonies where they were constantly fighting with all the natives.
Oh, yeah.
So you could see setting up a spot where it seems obvious that the Amish and the Mennonites and the Quakers before them are going to, really find a home. He had a new approach to governance. Even though he was, the owner of all the land, he could do whatever he wanted with it. And this is what the king, this sounds like a sweetheart deal. This is what King Charles asked of William Penn, that William pay an annual rent of 2 beaver skins and 20% of any gold or silver.
I remember you telling me that. Just two beaver skins.
2 beaver skins.
Why even put that in there? How about this? No beaver skins, 20% of the gold. I didn't even think about there being a lot of beavers in Pennsylvania. No. Maybe that's why it's only 2.
Maybe, yeah. And silver and gold, we know there's really none of that. So
yeah, I guess maybe there was.
I don't know. William Penn really made out.
Jeez.
So in 1682, he sets the first version of Pennsylvania's Constitution. He calls it the Great Law. And in 1699, it's revised to become a Charter of Privileges, which remained in place until the War of Independence in 1776.
Wow.
And in it, he notes freedom of religion. All could worship freely. It could be open to all religions, not only Quakers. He had what, by any terms, could be considered an enlightened penal code. So he thought prison was, a punishment, and it wasn't doing its job to reform. So people in prison were taught a trade so they could be gainfully employed when they were released.
Man, this guy was ahead of his time.
The death penalty was confined to murder and treason. Whereas, at the time, you could be killed for like stealing a loaf of bread. Work for everyone was another one of his things.
This guy's a socialist.
Occupations in agriculture, crafts, trade were made much more accessible. And Pennsylvania became known as the best poor man's country.
Interesting.
Yeah. Education for everyone.
What happened, Pennsylvania? You're a mess over there now.
Yeah. I mean, this is in the late 1600s. All this stuff is happening in Pennsylvania.
I mean, when you think of people from Pennsylvania, no offense to any listening out there.
I mean, judging by just the driving and the sides of the road and everything like that, and the vehicles,
just the people that you meet.
Yeah, he believed in educating girls and boys, and that was a big thing. Most kids were illiterate, especially the girls. They were to just be wives and homemakers, so why waste any time educating them? That was kind of what, most felt. And he wanted it to be a practical education, so that people could get jobs. What do you think is next on his list of?
A chicken in every pot.
Almost. All men were to be given the vote. He didn't extend it to women at that point, but back then you had own property to vote.
Yeah, it only took another 220 years.
Yeah. Town planning for healthy living. I don't know that much about Philadelphia, but he designed Philadelphia on a grid pattern with squares and parks and things like that. And that was because, I've mentioned it in the past, but, I'm a big Charles Dickens fan, and he came from London, and there was all the mess that happened during the Industrial Revolution and the plagues and all the fires. So he had a huge overarching plan for Pennsylvania.
Yeah, wow.
And some of it's relevant to the type of furniture that would eventually come from these communities, but most of it not. It's just a little bit of foundational knowledge.
Yeah.
So to wrap that up, Penn, he only spent 4 years in Pennsylvania. But he did a lot. A great deal of Penn's thinking about governance can be seen in our later constitutional documents.
Where did he go after Pennsylvania?
I don't have that. That's a great question. We could look that up.
He just slipped into...
He slipped into darkness.
Yeah.
He was kind of usurped. In our American history, in our written history.
Pennsylvania, Philadelphia was... There were a lot of heavy hitters gunning for power there.
Right.
I'm sure
it was our first capital.
Yeah.
So people like Thomas Jefferson and Hamilton and those guys, they kind of stole his thunder, I suppose.
Yeah.
But Jefferson did call Penn the greatest lawgiver the world had ever seen.
Well.
And you could see his legacy's pretty considerable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, before we get into furniture, I'm going to give you a quick Amish quiz.
You in the back, wake up. It's quiz time.
Can the modern day Amish use power tools?
Yes.
Oh, good one. Yes. The Amish do not reject all technology. Rather, they use technology selectively and consider the tools that will serve their community rather than make a negative impact on their culture. I did learn that they use a lot of pneumatic tools, work off generators and things like that, battery power. It's the whole thing about being connected to the grid.
Yeah, as if a combustion engine is any different than...
Yeah, you can...
You mean they're hypocrites like everybody else?
Yes. I was going to use that word.
Yeah.
You can start to see there is some, hypocritical thought going on there.
Yeah, it's, self-preservation. It is 2021, and you got to make some
concessions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're going to find the Amish quite an attractive group, so you might want to consider this next question. Can an outsider marry into an Amish family?
Probably not.
You're 2 for 2. An outsider can become Amish through conversion and convincement, though it's rare. One would need to live amongst the Amish, adopting the austere lifestyle, and demonstrate a genuine conversion to the faith.
That's a tall order.
It is a tall order.
I don't know. All the good cooking and might not be so bad.
You remember when George Costanza converted?
Not to Amish.
No. You know why? Do you remember the reason he gave?
No.
He liked the hats.
Oh, my God. How about that clip I sent you from...
Oh, yeah.
What's that show? Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh my God. That was hysterical.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah. Number 3. Do the Amish use cars?
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I've worked with Amish people.
While they don't operate cars, they're permitted to ride as passengers. And we will find that all Amish are not the same.
No, there's definitely some Amish that drive cars.
Yeah. Oh, that's question number 6. Number 4. You're going 3 for 3, you know. Oh, number 4 is not even a question.
What kind of quiz is this?
I wrote it as a statement. So maybe let me rephrase it. Are Amish numbers in decline or are they increasing? Is their population increasing or declining?
Take a shot in the dark and say it's increasing.
4 for 4.
They're ramping up production.
They are ramping up production, yes.
Saying, listen, women folk, start popping these babies out.
Well, that's the thing. They stress having large families.
Mm-hmm.
The census in 1920 shows about 5,000 Amish. 300,000.
5,000, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
300,000 today.
Could that just be a symptom of a bad census?
Maybe. But it says here the census of 1984 only counted 84,000 Amish.
Wow. 5,000?
Yeah.
I find that hard to believe.
Well, you know, and they use the kids for labor and stuff like that. Aside from, I don't know about their belief of contraceptives.
Maybe they didn't want to be counted. Back
Possible.
In the 20s.
It's possible. Here's this could be a trick question for number 5. Do the Amish use Velcro instead of buttons?
No. They definitely have buttons.
No. That was a trick question. No, the Amish will use neither buttons nor Velcro.
What?
Preferring hook and eye or pins to fasten clothing.
What do they got against the button?
I think they think the button is a little bit too uppity.
Wow.
You know, it'd be a sense of showiness to have a button.
I feel like a hook and an eye is more uppity than a button.
Yeah. All right, so that's you still got 4 out of 5. That's 80%. Number 6, are all Amish the same?
No.
That's right. There's
that I think I did get that question right. Because you said, right. Do they use Velcro instead of buttons?
Yeah. All right, we're going to give you credit on that.
Partial credit.
There are around 40 subgroups, and each group, that's a lot.
You got the bowl cut Amish.
Well, yeah, you got your hardcores, and then you got your, what are they? I can't remember what they're called. But, like almost any religious group, you got your strict adherents, and then you got your fundamentalists, or your laissez-faires.
See, I always thought the Mennonites were like lazy Amish. Not lazy, but you know what I mean? Like casual Amish.
That,
but it's a whole another group altogether.
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, I thought they were like the what's the word I'm looking for?
The more secular.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. And we're going to end this little tour through Amish history and Quaker Mennonite history with a couple of fun fact contributions made to our American culture by the Pennsylvania Dutch. The Christmas tree.
Wow.
And the Easter rabbit.
Wow.
According to my research, both find their roots.
You're going to get some comments?
Yeah, I'm certain people are going to write it.
My research shows that the Christmas tree actually originated.
Listen, this is what I found. That the tradition of having a Christmas tree and the Easter rabbit both come out of the Pennsylvania Dutch communities.
Well,
now, I don't know.
None of those originate in Germany?
It could be, because to this day, I mean, they're German. They speak German. They keep the language alive. They speak that a certain dialect, that the Pennsylvania Dutch dialect, and they are proudly German in that respect. So it could be that it stems from earlier back in Germany. I mean, because if you think about it, like we're talking about the early 1700s when they start settling, and the only thing I could think of is, like, again, Dickens, like stories like A Christmas Carol and things like that. They had Christmas trees. That's also around the 1700s. Or is that the later on in the 1800s when those stories were set?
Wasn't that the Industrial Revolution?
Yeah,
so that's like late 1800s.
Yeah, so it could be. So the next section we got here is the Pennsylvania Dutch and their furniture, including some Quaker and what they just termed Pennsylvania furniture. The German chest. It's really architectural. Are there links to pictures in there?
Yeah,
we have some links.
Let me open it up.
What I remember of it is, and here comes that word.
Let's see. Let me see if I get the screen connected.
It reminds me of sort of that Jacobean kind of look, very big, heavy, some carvings, and what they call architectural in appearance. So while we settle in and try and resolve some of these technical things, I'll ask you, as well as the listeners that may be out there, knowing what we do about the Amish, and it's part of the reason why I laid the framework of this, I'm going to ask you, what do you think their furniture is going to look like? I guess it's sort of a rhetorical question because we kind of all know.
Seems like this monitor's on, but
we got no juice.
Yeah. That's weird. Well, anyway.
Yeah, we'll work it out in the next episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that it's probably going to be kind of sparse looking, no?
Yeah. Function over form, definitely.
What page are we on here?
We're on page 4.
Okay, there we go. German chest. Oh, wow, that's...
right?
That's not as plain as I thought it would be. Wow.
Well, see, that's not Amish.
Oh, okay.
This is where they start. Like all the Germans that come over, this is their roots. These are the tradesmen, and this is what they're building in Germany. And you could see it's...
Look at that. It's a Newport shell.
Right. I mean, acanthus leaves. You could see the classical details there.
These little blacksmith handles.
Mm-hmm. It's really a beautiful piece. I mean, obviously, if they're gonna, you know,
these brackets and finials.
Yeah. So this is
pediments over these doors. Wow.
Yeah, you can see there's inlay. There's everything.
Yeah, veneer work.
So these guys were very highly skilled when they got here.
Earl. Amazing.
But immersion into their new community and new life, you know, it's kind of like us. We'd build if we got to build whatever we wanted, it'd be different than what we built for pay.
Right.
You know, not in every instance, but we only
get so much artistic liberty.
Right. And that's kind of what happens to the Amish craftsmen as they're beginning. The Amish, the Quakers, the Mennonites, they're not looking for a big chest like that.
Right.
That's going to go cut. I hate to use I won't even use that cliche. It's going to go against the grain. But, you know, it's not going to fit into their new lifestyle. But the new aesthetic that they develop does have some long-lasting and pronounced impact on furniture going forward as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly in the discovery, I put in quotation marks, of folk art in the 1920s, where the Pennsylvania Dutch furniture starts to have some renown outside the area. Up until then, it was not really considered collectible or wanted by anybody who wasn't part of that community.
Mm-hmm.
And in their community, it was
vernacular furniture. It was just stuff that you made.
Yeah, you needed a chair to sit on. You made a chair. You needed a place to put your clothes. You made a chest.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it went against everything they were taught to make something ostentatious.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and when you're living this agrarian lifestyle, you're too busy working to make some kind of crazy piece of furniture. They're all farmers. I mean, they were all farmers.
Everybody's a farmer.
Yeah. There was a lot of work to be done, and building furniture wasn't high on the list of, at least not, you know, building showy furniture. Right.
Back in this time in colonial America, colonial Pennsylvania, there isn't, at least I didn't see a pronounced one, merchant class in these communities.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was engaged in farming.
It was an equal playing field.
Yes.
It wasn't like us, where the people that we're making furniture for the most part, are better off than we are.
Yes, you can leave out.
We're not working for people in the same tax bracket as us.
No.
Or even the one above us.
Yeah. As we've said many times, we can't afford our own work.
No.
But like the Amish, we pitch in to get things done.
Yeah.
You know, when we have to, like when we had to build the deck and everything
we'll
like
raise
that.
a barn if we have to.
We built the deck.
Mm-hmm. We're
going to build your kitchen. You know, it's going to be an all hands on deck moment, and we do it. So I got some characteristics for the Pennsylvania Dutch. Though they don't avoid them completely, mechanical fasteners are kind of minimal. I'm trying to remember when we went out there, when we were in that shop, remember we were looking at the Amish furniture?
At the Shady Maple Smorgasbord.
Yeah, like the backs and everything like that.
Pocket holes.
There were pocket holes.
Yeah, castle pocket holes too.
Yeah. Yeah. But dovetails, mortise and tenons, they're the two biggies for them.
That was like, that was cheap Amish furniture.
Yeah. I mean, there was still some pretty nice examples there. We were amazed at the prices, too.
That one table, spalted
Yeah.
maple and walnut, like $2,000, which I think it had chairs, too.
Yeah, I know. We left there stunned.
Yeah.
But that's child labor there.
Yeah. That's like Jebediah, go make a table.
Right. And I mean, a lot of these things we can surmise, like, what do you think are the woods that they use?
Cherry, oak, maple, beech.
Whatever's growing nearby, that's
walnut.
their thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did find that there were a couple of pieces that had mahogany in them, and some built from mahogany, but they were special pieces.
Right.
Let's say there was a big event, or somebody could, every now and again, the Amish would commission a piece from somebody who also another Amish maker, for a wedding, a dowry chest, or something like that. So here's what we got so far. We have their they prefer joinery as opposed to mechanical fasteners. It's definitely function over form. Native hardwoods, timeless, straightforward design.
Yeah. I think very flat.
Right. I ask, were the Amish trying to make a design statement with their work?
No, I think it's the opposite.
Yeah.
They were trying to not make a statement, and maybe in turn they did make a statement, but
very perceptive, Jeffrey. Very. But that's it. They're not trying to step over the line.
Yeah.
But in doing so, they're reinforcing.
Right. They're making a statement about their ideals.
Right.
By not making a statement.
Yeah. You must have really done well in school.
I didn't. That's the thing.
Yeah. That goes back to how our education system is.
It's flawed.
Yeah, because you could see your innate aptitude for all this stuff, because you haven't read or heard any of this. You're just,
I'm just along for a ride.
Yeah, you're listening along and commenting, but you could see you already know this stuff.
Maybe I'm secretly Amish.
It could be. Right. Everything they did was a reflection of their lifestyle. They don't do anything that doesn't reinforce their belief system.
Yeah.
Another thing, and again, we got quite a bit in common with these ideals. They wanted stuff to last for generations.
Mm-hmm.
Thrift is a big thing. I mean, being wasteful is sinful.
Yeah, and it's hard work. So you have they had all this work to do. So why are you're gonna phone it in on this and have to do more work?
Right. These are all things that make sense to us still.
Yeah, anything worth doing is worth doing right.
Yeah. So, I mean, this sounds like us. Material selection, joinery, it's all considered. No shortcuts, especially if it led to a shortened lifespan or a low-quality piece of work.
Yeah.
I mean, we really have a lot in common going, except for the form over function. We really try and marry those two things. Yeah. We're much more influenced by the design aesthetics.
Mm-hmm. But definitely a simple design aesthetic.
Yeah,
we tend to go for something, understated.
Graceful, sure. Proportions, all those things. Less flourishes.
Mm-hmm.
But native hardwoods, timeless design, the intention to build for, lasting, well beyond our lifetime, avoiding shortcuts, joinery. I mean, we could be Amish.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad.
So, Today, they're still known for their wide use of hand tools. And, I mean, back then, they basically built stuff just the way everybody else did because there wasn't any power.
Right.
Cities didn't become electrified till like the 20s, the 1920s. So everybody was on the same page. And it's funny to think about like what the Amish were doing, because last segment we were sort of getting into the Chippendale and everything, and it was the Newport School.
Yeah, that mercantile class people who are now buying these ornate pieces of furniture.
Where people are, spending a lot of time building a piece of furniture.
From mahogany brought in from South America.
That's right. So that's all I got on the first section of who, what, when, and where. We got, I think we pretty much covered who they were, when. We're talking about the early 1700s to the early 1800s. Where? Pennsylvania. And
the what? Yeah, why?
Why?
They needed furniture.
Yeah.
They were making it for themselves, wasn't so much a profession as it was just a necessity.
Right. I mean, I don't know this for fact, in 100% certainty, but you could pretty much say that none of the furniture that was built left that community for 100 years.
Yeah, probably not.
In the early 1920s, that's when, again, and you could start seeing that's the sort of the wealthy class, people with time on their hands, and they go, hey, this is cool. Look at this thing, and we're going to call it folk art.
Yeah, I think of like Antiques Roadshow, and you can picture, we'll get into obviously the aesthetic and the techniques and stuff and like finishes, but I can picture, a milk painted Pennsylvania Dutch flat and talking about, these folk pieces basically.
Yeah. In the last episode of this series, there's a couple of links with pictures that really kind of encapsulate that look, that painted piece, and that's what we'll get into when we start talking more in depth about the furniture that they created. And the characteristics of it.
Yeah, the fretwork and stuff. Think of the like red, blue, green.
Yeah, red was a biggie, even black.
Yeah.
So did we fill our time? Yeah. All right. I like to, I don't like to cut the lesson short.
I don't want to shortchange anybody.
Any questions out there in the audience?
Yeah, write them in. Leave them in the comments.
Yeah, you could leave them. I mean, since we're sort of caught up, like this is going to be put out this coming Friday, right?
Yeah.
I guess we could always go back, and answer questions.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And sort of like, like when the TV show has a part 2 and they like show what happened in part 1, we could always refresh it before we answer it.
And the Instagram is open. You want to send a question, and we'll answer. We can answer it right there for you if it's not something that that
needs
you want us to
airing.
visit. Yeah. We answer every message that we get. So
yeah, that's true.
Unless you're from a bot, I don't answer those. Blocked.
Well, I really enjoyed researching the Pennsylvania Dutch. It wasn't easy.
It's interesting.
Because they're kind of a private group. And I mean, I spent because it was when I was doing it mostly in the shop, I spent a lot of time trying to dig up information on these people. Because you have the generic stuff right off the top.
Yeah, which
everybody
is like,
knows. Yeah. But I was trying to get some nuggets.
Some meat and potatoes.
So we're going to say goodbye for this episode.
Yeah. Well, hope you had a good Thanksgiving yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
This will be coming out on Black Friday.
Oh,
Hopefully
man.
you're not out, Find some of that cheap crap that they sell on Black Friday.
Yeah, the antithesis of the Amish ethics.
Take a cue from the Amish.
That's right. We could all take a cue from the Amish when it comes to some things.
Mm-hmm.
And William Penn.
Yeah.
Very, very influential character.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that much about him.
Yeah, me neither.
Well,
at that, I guess we'll see you next week. Don't forget, Greene Street 10, Calavera, American Craftsman for 10% off at Montana, and Vesting Finishes at rpmcoatingsolutions.com. And Secret Santa, sign up. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I better get my order in early. I mean, with everything running out.
Yeah. Although they say that the ports are moving again.
Oh. Huh.
Yeah, well, they said that they're going to put a $100 tax per day on every container that doesn't move. Magically, they started moving.
I tell you, man, the whole thing is rigged.
Yeah. You're telling me that capitalism doesn't always just work in favor of the consumer? A manufactured supply and demand.
Oh, man.
Issue.
Yeah, it's like the price of gas.
Yeah. Well, that's OPEC.
But I mean, it's manipulated.
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's not a natural supply and demand thing.
Yeah. Anyway, before we get too far off topic, we'll see you guys next week.
Before we start alienating people
for episode 11.